punching her phone.
Oh, we did?
Oh my God. What are you punching her phone?
Oh, we did?
Why you punch her in the face, man? Why you punch her?
You know, this happened in my neighborhood. Actually, right down the street from somewhere I'm at every day. I've been to that McDonald's. And what I don't understand is why that police officer isn't fired. This happened over a piece of cheese. Okay, so what happened after I've done a little research, but I'll leave this up here. This woman, I'm gonna say her name right. Laticka. She goes to McDonald's and gets herself a Big Mac. It's fries. Her intention is just to have a snack and go home and relax. She's gonna take it home with her. But she wanted cheese on her Big Mac. When she got to where she was going, she noticed that there was no cheese on her Big Mac. So she did the right thing. She went back to the McDonald's and said, "Hey, I paid extra for cheese. Can you put some cheese on it?" The manager agreed with her and told the cook, which was also a female, just remake the sandwich. And that has been paid for. When the cook came back out to the cashier to give the lady her sandwich, which cooks don't do that. You're not supposed to run the register if you're cooking. But anyways, the cook took it upon herself to come back out and tell her the cheese was on there, but she needed to pay for it. And she said, "Well, no, I've already paid for it." And the manager told her to do her job. So they asked her to leave. And she said, "Okay, I'll leave." And she said to leave because the police were being called. So Laticka goes out to her car and sits and waits for the police so she can let the police handle the situation like she should have. And the police get out and they're belligerent with her. She's explaining her. I'll show you more video where she's calmly explaining what happened. And those cops came based on, the store saying that she was in there causing a disturbance, well, she wasn't. She really didn't need to provide her information, but she should have, because the cops were there to investigate. She should have. They were there to investigate an altercation. So she was when a bunch of people say, "Hey, that person did something," that does give the police reasonable suspicion that a crime may have been committed. And she should have showed her driver's license. I don't know why she didn't. I think she was being a bit argumentative. He hit her 4 times. And I'm not speaking up for this cop, but it does say in 22 years he's never had a reprimand. Well, for a lot of years there weren't cameras and people that were sitting inside McDonald's filmed this. There weren't a lot of years. There weren't phones. Weren't just that doesn't mean he didn't commit anything. It means he doesn't have it. Now, in this news conference, McDonald's, those people inside that McDonald's should definitely be fired, because she came back and there was no testimony, no witness saying that she was being belligerent, no camera showing her being belligerent, and McDonald's has cameras in there. She just wanted her stuff that she paid for, and she asked for it. And the manager told the cook to remake it and give it to her. It was the cook. But the manager decided to call the police. There's no reason for them to call it.
The videos that they produced, that came from independent bystander. And what's interesting is that they didn't do anything or address any of this until that video went viral. It took the video going viral for them to do something about this. And, they put him on paid administrative leave. They're going to take 1 week to do whatever investigation that they're doing. They're investigating themselves. So it's going to take 1 week for them to say that, this officer followed their protocol, followed their procedure. We already know.
I know what they're going to say right now, because of the way that I saw the video. I know exactly what they're going to say. They're basically going to say that the officer was triggered because the way that Laticka was speaking, her hands were moving in expression of speech, but her hands were moving around. That's what he's going to say, even though you can tell that she's only talking. But the cop is going to say that as she was talking, her hands were moved, and it was pretty close to his face. That's what he's going to say. That's an excuse, but that's what he's going to say. Trust me.
How they're going to come back with their investigation. So we do need somebody independent to investigate this officer and this police department, because they can't investigate themselves.
So what happens now from your perspective? Because you said that it's going to take a week for them, and you've asked for independent.
Well, I requested a bunch of items from them. So I want the videos that they have. I want the dispatch information that they have. We'll do, our due diligence to get the evidence that we need to further show that this was uncalled for. So we're still investigating, to answer your question.
Mr. Rick, as the attorney, and I know you've been practicing law for a while now, if you could remind us of that, I appreciate it greatly. 2 points I wanted to ask of you. Has the video been requested from inside McDonald's?
The video has been requested from inside McDonald's. Yes.
They'll say they don't have it.
For your client. Can you give us the definition for future?
If Laticka was in there causing a disturbance, you can believe they wouldn't have to ask for that video. He put in a request for that video. They don't have to give it. They don't. But let's say she came in there belligerent, like, where's my damn cheese on this sandwich, blah, 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 like you would expect for her to end up punched and arrested. If they had that video, McDonald's would have already put it out to cover their own ass. So I don't think we're going to see a McDonald's video. And these are just speculations.
Individuals, how does somebody trespass somebody off the property when they're getting services that are paid for services and they have a minor complaint?
Yeah, that's a great question.
One of the things that she was given a criminal trespass, but she did nothing criminal. Again, if they would have had a video of her in there being belligerent or disrespectful or disorderly in that store, we would see it. Because McDonald's needs to cover their ass. They're liable too.
The fact is when someone calls to trespass someone off of a property, they're not trespassed until they are given the information that they are no longer allowed back on the property. So
Actually, I know this gentleman is an attorney. As soon as someone asks you to leave and you refuse, you're criminal trespass. You don't have to be served. You don't have to be served after you've been asked to leave somewhere and you stay. After you've been asked to leave, then you can be charged with trespass. When someone asks you to leave your property and you do not, you have now committed a crime. You don't have to be served with the criminal trespass.
So they weren't trespassed at that point, so what the officer indicated or what the chief indicated, that's incorrect. They weren't trespassed at that point.
Will you be communicating at all with McDonald's Corporation over their policy on especially this particular case?
Well, once I get the video, I want to see what happened inside of that McDonald's. Their internal conflict between their manager, and one of their employees, that's really what started all of this.
He's right. And that's going to be the bottom line is if McDonald's releases that video, which I'm about 60, 70% sure that they won't. But, you can be surprised in the way that criminal investigations work. If she went in there and was being belligerent, and a bunch of people saw her being belligerent, and the camera saw her being belligerent, the cops are pulling up thinking that they're dealing with a belligerent person. So they're going to be amped up. But if that video shows her being calm like she says, then everything else that she says beyond that is 100% accurate. I don't think McDonald's will release that. I don't think they have to.
Had they communicated properly, had they just fixed her sandwich and let her go on her way, we wouldn't be here. So there's a comedy of errors here.
And also take note, the person that filmed her being punched was sitting in that McDonald's, was in there eating when she came up to the counter. Had she been belligerent, I believe he would, or I would have filmed in there. Had there been any big altercation that he saw, he would have filmed it. Because people do that. I would. If I'm sitting somewhere and I see a big argument going on in a restaurant, I'm going to film it. You never know what's going to happen. It's content.
And just think about what Attorney Wright just said about the video that was not shown, but the video that was shown to the general public. Think about a Walter Scott.
We're giving away these gold bars absolutely free.
Which was filming. And if that video had never surfaced, that police would have got off scot-free.
Absolutely. I agree.
Think about this is going to be so frustrating. Think about a John Crawford III, where a bystander reported something that wasn't true, but it led to the death of a man. And that's what she felt. In her own words.
We're very, frustrated by the transparency of this department. And again, as I stated, the videos that they showed didn't show her being punched in the face. And it's pretty interesting that they have every other view but the view where it shows her being assaulted, being, choked. And this should not have happened. These officers were totally out of bounds. They were totally out of bounds.
Everything you should see color. You would think with it being 2023 that we will be not over it, because that's not what I want to say, but better than where we came from. They taught us all through growing up.
We want to hold these officers accountable.
Be accountable. Every action has a consequence or a reaction. And that can be good and that can be bad. But in that moment, I felt the only thing that could have been done in my situation was to be quiet.
I will take one more question.
Is it possible that you may be filing a lawsuit against McDonald's and Butler Township?
Well, it's premature right now. I want to get all the evidence and I want to look at everything and then make a determination. But we do know that at this point, McDonald's didn't do what they were supposed to do. The officers didn't do what they were supposed to do. And, they need to be held accountable. So whether that means me filing a lawsuit at some point, I don't know at this time. Yes, sir.
How in the light of the George Floyd incident, how are we still here? I mean, how? Clearly something is getting messed up.
That's a great question. And as she told you, Laticka said, I didn't want to get on the ground. They were trying to force me on the ground, and then they started punching me in the face. When this is a black woman, we have two white police officers, white male police officers, that escalated this situation. She was saying, this is ridiculous. This is over a piece of cheese. This is over a hamburger. You're going to throw me on the ground. You're going to punch me in the face. I mean, you're right. There should.
Just to be clear, you're asking for the officer's resignation, you're asking for a transfer.
We're asking for the officer to be fired, not for his resignation. We're asking him to be terminated and to be convicted and to be charged. Yes, both officers. And to be charged. That's what we're asking. And we want an independent investigator to investigate Butler Township Police for this unnecessary police brutality. Correct. And it was McDonald's mistake.
A 30-cent piece of cheese that she paid. She had a receipt for it. And not only that, while she was in the store, she's telling the manager, comes and intervenes in the situation, and the manager tells the young lady to fix her sandwich, to make it correct. Well, she wants to be commander-in-chief. She wants to take the law into her own hands and say
the cook.
Yeah, the cook want to take the law into his own hands and say, you need to give us 30 more cents. She says, no, I'm not going to give you 30 more cents. Look at the receipt. The receipt says I've already paid for the extra cheese on my Big Mac sandwich.
So there was an internal argument between the manager and the cook regarding her order. The cook took exception and came from the back out to the front to confront Ms. Hancock. And, the manager asked her to leave. She left. She wanted to wait on the police to tell them her version of the story. And then that's how all this ensued.
And the word cheese. Think about that. Cheese. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Ms. Hancock, I'm really sorry this happened to you. Could you tell us how you're feeling?
Well, one, I'm glad that I'm able to be here, to be honest, to tell my side of the story. I don't want people to feel like I'm complaining for a piece of cheese. The message behind everything is misconstrued. When I realized that I wasn't going to get the sandwich that I paid for, I repeatedly asked this lady, if you do not like your job, then you shouldn't have came to work today. Customer service, customers are always right. If we weren't, they wouldn't have made it a slogan. You wouldn't hear it on commercials. You wouldn't hear it on a TV show. They wouldn't say it in a jingle when they say, come to McDonald's. So I went in with good intentions. I came with everything. I brought back the sandwich. I brought back the fries. Brought back the original receipt. Even said jokingly to the gentleman that was standing next to the manager, I ate like or not, but they're here. 4 of them is missing. He jokingly says, at least you're honest.